Hey, there's a corner of Japan with an original castle, a shrine where gods hold their annual summit, and a samurai street with zero souvenir shops. The catch is that Matsue and Izumo barely show up in standard Japan itineraries, so you're probably building this one from scratch. I mapped out the whole 3-day route in a template links in the description if you want it. Late March through mid-April, cherry blossoms frame the castle moats and samurai district in pink, and the walking temperatures are basically perfect. Day 1 stays in Matsue's castle district. A real 400-year-old keep, a samurai street, and a boat ride through the moats that ties it together. Matsue Castle is one of only 12 in Japan, with its original wooden keep still intact, built in 1611 and never destroyed. The smell of old timber hits you at the door, and the staircases are so steep you haul yourself up using rope handrails. Almost every famous castle in Japan is a concrete replica that visitors climb without knowing. This one is the genuine article, and it knows it. Go early because the unventilated keep turns into a sauna by afternoon, and those polished wood stairs demand shoes with actual grip. 5 minutes from the castle, Shiomi Nawate is a 200-meter street of earthen walls and restored samurai homes. No mascots, no gift shops. Lafcadio Hearn, the writer who basically introduced Japan to the West in the 1890s, lived on this street and made Matsue famous. Packed earth underfoot, shade from overgrown pines, and the particular silence of thick walls blocking the modern city behind them. Step inside the Hearn residence because it grounds the street in a real person's story, and walk slowly because that's the whole point. The Horikawa Sightseeing Boat puts you inside the castle's original defensive moats, a 50-minute float through 400-year-old infrastructure. The stone bridges are low enough that passengers duck in unison or the boat roof drops. Part canal tour, part limbo contest. Doing this after the castle and samurai street works, because you see the same area from the water and the geometry finally clicks. Sit on the right side for the castle views. The narration is in Japanese, but the scenery needs no translation. Day 2 shifts to Izumo, Japan's oldest Shinto shrine, the museum that explains it, and the beach where the mythology plays out at sunset. Izumo Taisha is where, in Shinto tradition, every deity in Japan gathers once a year for a divine summit, the spiritual capital of the country. The Shimenawa rope hanging at the main hall is enormous, several meters long, thick as a tree trunk, and almost hypnotic. This isn't tourist hype. The Kojiki, Japan's earliest written record from 712 CE, names this as a shrine of supreme importance. The main hall sits behind fences you can't enter, which is normal for important shrines. The power is in the approach, the gravel, the scale. Right next to the shrine, this museum is the decoder ring, bronze artifacts, excavation finds, and a model of what Izumo Taisha probably looked like. Evidence suggests the original shrine stood around 48 meters tall, which would have made it the tallest wooden structure in Japan at the time. Visit the shrine first, because the reconstruction model here hits differently once you've stood in front of the real thing and felt small. Check opening hours before you go. The museum keeps shorter days than most attractions, and the gift shop takes cash only. A short walk from the museum, Inasa Beach stretches out in front of Izumo Taisha, where tradition says the kami come ashore. This isn't a swimming beach. It's ceremonial ground, with a tiny island and torii gate just offshore that photographs like a movie poster. Open sky, surf, and the silhouette of that torii against the sunset. The horizon here is wide and completely uninterrupted. Show up 30 minutes before sunset with the Bentenjima torii in your foreground. And bring a layer, because the wind off the water is real. Day 3 is about looking carefully. The country's best garden, a lake famous for its sunset, and a tea house built for the view. The Adachi Museum of Art in nearby Yasugi has held the title of Best Japanese Garden in the country for over 20 straight years. You can't set foot in it. You view the garden through floor-to-ceiling gallery windows, landscape design presented as a living painting. The contrast between silent, climate-controlled galleries and the wild green garden visible through glass is disorienting in exactly the right way. Book ahead, because the museum hits capacity on weekends. And don't skip the Nihonga paintings. They were collected to match the garden's philosophy. Back in Matsue, Lake Shinji produces one of Japan's best sunsets and the clams in basically every bowl of miso soup in town. Lafcadio Hearn described this lake with enough romantic attachment to make Matsue a literary destination, and the sunset view is essentially unchanged. Flat water catching orange light, a lakeside torii silhouette, and locals who show up every evening because the sunset still works after hundreds of viewings. Check the weather before committing. Cloud cover turns this from Japan's best sunset into a gray lake, which is just a gray lake. Perched on a hill above the lake, Meimean is an Edo-period tea house built by a lord who picked this spot for the view. Matcha and seasonal wagashi, tatami under your knees, and a panoramic lake view framed by wooden window posts. The composition is 400 years old. You come up here after the lakeside walk because the tea house gives you that same view composed and elevated, 3 days distilled into one room. The wagashi sells out later in the day, so come mid-afternoon, shoes off at the door, and chairs are available if tatami seating isn't happening. Matsue and Izumo are Japan without the performance, original wood, living mythology, and a pace that lets you actually see what's in front of you. I put the full 3-day route into an editable template with a map view. Grab it from the link in the description. Let me know which stop you'd add or skip. There's always something worth trading in a place like this.